Forget everything you think you know about Brazil. Forget the postcards of samba, sun, and endless football. That's the brochure, the simplified, digestible story sold to the world. The reality is a novel, a sprawling, complex, often contradictory epic, a tale of two cities that are not just places, but rival ideologies battling for the nation's soul. What if I told you that to understand this South American giant, you can't just look at the beach. You have to dissect the balance sheet. You have to listen not just to the music, but to the echoing silence in the alleyways. This isn't a vacation guide. This is an autopsy of a dream, an exploration of a country defined by its staggering, beautiful, and brutal contradictions. We're going on a journey to find the real Brazil, a place hidden between the relentless engine of progress and the passionate, unpredictable rhythm the heart. Join me. Most international flights to Brazil don't land on a sun-drenched coastline. They descend into this São Paulo, a seemingly infinite ocean of concrete and glass that stretches to every conceivable horizon. This isn't just a city, it's a statement of human will, a sprawling megalopolis whose greater metropolitan area is home to over 22 million people. That's a population larger than Australia, a place so vast and self-contained it feels like its own nation-state. And in many ways it is. This is Brazil's brain, its economic engine. The relentless 24/7 powerhouse that drives not just a country, but an entire continent. From the air, it's a modern marvel. But on the ground, you feel the raw, unfiltered energy. This is where the money is made, and where the true cost of making it is felt most acutely. The numbers tell a story of a cruel paradox. The average monthly salary for a skilled professional here might hover between $1,000 to $2,000. It sounds manageable, until you face the custo Brasil, the Brazil cost. The rent for a modest, one-bedroom apartment in a safe, central neighborhood can easily consume $1,000 of that. And then there's the sticker shock. This city is a vitrine for global brands, yet the very symbols of prosperity are priced into the stratosphere. An iPhone 15 Pro, costing $200 in the United States, will set you back over $2,000 here, making Brazil one of the most expensive places on earth to buy one. This isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. Decades of protectionist policies and crippling import taxes have created a consumer society where the majority are left looking through the glass, their purchasing power systematically crushed. This economic pressure cooker forges the paulistano spirit. There's a hustle here, a directness, and a sense of urgency that can feel abrasive compared to the rest of Brazil. Life is fast, the traffic is legendary for its gridlock, and time is quite literally money. Yet, it's a mistake to see this as a city without a soul. You just have to know where to look. Take Avenida Paulista, the city's financial artery. On weekdays, it's a canyon of suits and ambition. But on Sundays, the city performs a miracle. It closes the entire avenue to traffic. Suddenly, the canyon becomes a park. The asphalt is reclaimed by families, by skateboarders, by musicians playing for spare change, by couples strolling hand in hand. It's a collective exhale, a weekly rebellion against the city's own relentless pace. In the shadow of the imposing Mass P, the São Paulo Museum of Art, itself an architectural marvel, suspended over a public plaza, the city reveals its softer, more human side. This is also a city built by outsiders. To understand São Paulo is to understand migration. Wander into the district of Bexiga, and you'll feel the echoes of Italy in its cantinas and weekend street fairs. Head to Liberdade, and you are transported to the largest Japantown outside of Japan. Marked by its iconic red torii gates, and the smell of ramen broth wafting from tiny restaurants. This isn't a melting pot where cultures dissolve. It's a mosaic where they remain distinct, vibrant, and essential to the city's identity. This history is written on the faces of its people, a spectrum of complexions that tells a story of Portuguese colonizers, Italian laborers, Japanese farmers, and Lebanese merchants who all came here seeking a new life. But this gleaming, cosmopolitan city is built on a fragile foundation. To see it, you don't have to travel far. You just need to look at the hills that ring the city, or sometimes rise right up in its midst. You need to cross an invisible, yet brutally real, line into the favelas. We are headed to Helipolis. The name, City of the Sun, is a tragically poetic name for one of the largest favelas in Brazil, home to over 200,000 people. From a distance, it's a chaotic, monolithic jumble of raw, unpainted brick houses, stacked one on top of the other as if defying gravity. A tangled web of wires overhead is the first thing you notice, a visual testament to illegal electricity connections, a community taking what the state has failed to provide. For decades, the government offered minimal support, effectively abandoning these neighborhoods. This vacuum of power was quickly filled by organized crime, gangs who now control everything from gas distribution to internet access, creating a parallel state with its own rules and its own brutal form of justice. Walking these labyrinthine streets, as an outsider, can be intimidating. You are an anomaly. Your presence is noted, but fear quickly gives way to awe at the sheer resilience on display. These aren't just shanty towns, they are buzzing micro-economies. Small shops, barbers, bakeries, and repair stores operate from the ground floors of homes. A powerful sense of community, born of shared struggle, binds people together. Neighbors look out for each other's children. In Helipolis, a remarkable movement, led by the women of the community, fought for years to get LED streetlights installed. A simple act of pushing back against the darkness and the danger it held. It was a small victory, but in a place where victories are scarce, it was monumental. The story of the favelas is the story of modern Brazil. It's the story of millions who migrated from the impoverished rural Northeast over the last 50 years, drawn by the siren song of work in the industrial South. They came seeking a better life, but were immediately priced out of the formal city. So they built their own. On vacant land, on steep, unstable hillsides, they constructed their homes, brick by brick, creating these sprawling, organic neighborhoods. They stand as a monument to failure. The failure of the state to provide basic housing and services, but also as a monument to an unbreakable human spirit. And here, in these narrow alleyways, amidst the struggle and the grime, you will find the most potent symbol of Brazilian hope, of football. For the kids here, kicking a worn-out ball on a dusty patch of ground is not just a game. It is a tangible dream. They know that legends like Rivaldo and Gabriel Jesus began their journeys on streets just like these. Football is more than a sport, it is one of the very few perceived lottery tickets out of the favela. São Paulo, then, is not one city. It is a dozen cities, all layered on top of each other. A world of immense, insulated wealth, built within sight of profound, resilient poverty. It is the engine of a nation, but it runs on a volatile fuel of inequality. It's a city that will challenge you, exhaust you, and ultimately force you to see the unvarnished, complicated truth of Brazil's ambition and its human cost. But this is only half the story. To understand the nation's soul, we must leave the brain behind and travel 500 kilometers east. We have to go to Rio. If São Paulo is the engine, Rio de Janeiro is the postcard. It is the seductive lie, the image sold to the world, the dramatic, granite peaks of Sugarloaf Mountain, the outstretched arms of Christ the Redeemer watching over the city, and the legendary, sun-drenched crescent of Copacabana Beach. It's a city blessed by God and sculpted by nature, a landscape so breathtakingly beautiful, it almost feels like a special effect. And for many visitors, this is where the inquiry stops. But the postcard is lying. Or rather, it's only telling you the most beautiful, most simplistic, and most misleading part of the truth. Let's start at the beach, the city's grand, democratic stage. To understand Rio, you must first understand its relationship with the sand and the sea. The original video we analyzed touched on this superficially, mentioning a revealing style of dress. But to focus on that is to miss the point entirely. What you are witnessing on the beaches of Ipanema and Copacabana is not exhibitionism, it's a radical form of embodied freedom. It's a deep, cultural comfort with the human form that predates any modern social media trend. But the beach is not a monolith. It has its own geography, its own social tribes. Copacabana is the Grand Dame, a sprawling, chaotic mix of tourists, families, and hustlers, set against its iconic wave-patterned boardwalk. Cross the peninsula to Ipanema, and the atmosphere shifts. It's chic, more fashionable, the spiritual home of bossa nova and the famous Girl from Ipanema. Here, the beach is divided by postos, the numbered lifeguard stations that serve as social landmarks. Posto 9 is the historic haunt of the young, the beautiful, the artistic, and the intellectual crowd. Further down, Leblon is quieter, more exclusive, the preferred spot for wealthy families. The beach is Rio's living room, its sports club, and its therapy couch. It's where business deals are made, where romances begin, and where the uniquely graceful sport of Futov-Lee, a blend of volleyball and football played with dazzling skill, is practiced with religious devotion. But the soul of Rio, its alma carioca, isn't just in the sand. To find it, you have to climb. Take the rattling, iconic yellow tram up into the hills of Santa Teresa. Here, the city's frantic pace dissolves. You wander through winding cobblestone streets, past crumbling colonial mansions draped in bougainvillea. This is the city's bohemian heart, a refuge for artists, musicians, and writers. It's here, in the small, intimate bars, that you can hear the real sound of Rio. Not just the explosive percussion of samba, but the cool, melancholic chords of bossa nova. That smooth, sophisticated music born in this very city. A sound that perfectly captures saudade. That untranslatable Portuguese word for a deep, nostalgic longing for something or someone absent. Connecting Santa Teresa to the gritty, vibrant nightlife district of Lapa is another of Rio's true icons. One far more authentic than the statue on the hill, the Escadaria Celerin. These are the Celerin Steps, a breathtaking masterpiece of public art created by the eccentric Chilean artist Jorge Salarin. He called it his tribute to the Brazilian people. Over 2 decades, he single-handedly transformed a dilapidated public staircase into a vibrant, ever-changing mosaic, covering it with over 2,000 brightly colored tiles sent to him from fans in more than 60 countries. It was an obsession that consumed him, and he tragically died on the very steps he created. The staircase is a living, breathing work of art, a perfect metaphor for Rio itself. Chaotic, colorful, collaborative, and born from an impossible, fiery passion. And then there is Carnival. To call it the biggest festival in the world is an understatement. Carnival in Rio is a force of nature, but its true meaning is often lost on outsiders. It's not just a 5-day party. For the communities in the favelas, it is a year-long, all-consuming endeavor. The famous samba schools are not professional dance troupes. They are complex community organizations, often based in the poorest neighborhoods. They spend the entire year designing colossal floats, sewing thousands of intricate costumes, and rehearsing complex choreographies, all in preparation for one night of glory and fierce competition at the Sambadrome. It's an explosion of creativity and pride, a moment when the marginalized become the kings and queens of the city. But the real carnival for most cariocas happens on the streets, in the blocos. Rocas, free. For all street parties that take over entire neighborhoods, each with its own theme and loyal following. This is the people's carnival, democratic and wonderfully chaotic. But just like in São Paulo, Rio's intoxicating beauty casts a long, dark shadow. The postcard conveniently omits the other side of the mountain. Rio is home to Rocinha, the largest favela in all of Brazil, a dense city within its city that cascades down a hillside, a stone's throw from some of Rio's most exclusive real estate. The issues here are the same as in São Paulo: poverty, systemic neglect, and the violent grip of heavily armed drug trafficking gangs. But the contrast is somehow more visceral, more jarring against the picture. Perfect landscape. Cidade Maravilhosa. The marvelous city is also a city perpetually at war with itself. For years, the government's strategy of police pacification has been a bloody and often failed experiment. The daily reality for many includes stray bullets and a constant, humming tension between gangs and police. To only see the beauty of Rio is to be willingly blind. The city teaches you a profound lesson that breathtaking beauty and unbearable pain can, and often do, coexist in the exact same frame. So we have the brain, São Paulo, and the heart, Rio. One driven by capital, the other by passion. But what unites them? What is the common thread that runs through this entire, vast, contradictory nation? You find it not in the grand monuments, but in the simple, sacred rituals of daily life. You find it on the dinner plate, and it goes far beyond a generic love for red meat. The soul of Brazil is a humble black bean. It's feijoada, the undisputed national dish. A rich, dark, slow, cooked stew of black beans with a variety of salted and smoked pork cuts. It's a dish born directly from the brutal history of slavery. The enslaved were given the leftover, less desirable parts of the pig by their masters, and with incredible ingenuity, they transformed these scraps into a culinary masterpiece. To eat feijoada, traditionally served on Saturdays, is to taste the history of Brazil, its African roots, its resilience, its ability to create something deeply beautiful out of hardship. But the culinary journey doesn't stop there. It's the simple pleasure of a warm pão de queijo, a savory cheese bread, with a strong cafezinho in the morning. It's the coastal flavor of moqueca, a magnificent fish stew whose vibrant yellow color comes from denned palm oil and whose creaminess comes from coconut milk, a clear nod to the nation's African and indigenous heritage. You find it in its complex, unresolved identity. The original video correctly noted the strong European influence, but it missed the two other foundational pillars, the indigenous and the African. Brazil has the largest population of African descent outside of Africa, a legacy of being the last country in the Americas to abolish slavery. This heritage isn't just in the census data, it is the rhythm of the music, the spiritual energy of syncretic religions like candomblé, and the fluid dance like martial art of capoeira, which was disguised as a dance by the enslaved to practice self-defense. Brazil officially celebrates its mestiço, its mixed race heritage, yet it remains a society struggling with deep-seated systemic racism. It is a nation that has never truly reconciled with its past, and this tension simmers just below the surface of daily life. And finally, you find it in the stands of a football stadium, or more likely, crowded around a small television in a neighborhood bar. Football here is not a hobby. It is a secular religion. It is the one language that every single Brazilian, from an isolated Amazonian tribe to a financial trader on Avenida Paulista, can understand with perfect fluency. It is a source of immense, unparalleled national pride and, at times, crushing, soul-destroying national disappointment. When the national team, the Seleção, plays, the country grinds to a halt. Businesses close. Streets empty. It's the great equalizer. In those 90 minutes, the vast, seemingly insurmountable divisions of wealth, race, and politics seem to momentarily dissolve, replaced by a singular, collective, primal passion. It is a weekly, powerful reminder that despite all the forces pulling this nation apart, there is still such a thing as Brazil. So, what is Brazil? It is not one thing. It cannot be summarized on a postcard or in a single story. It's São Paulo's relentless forward, charging ambition and Rio's poetic, nostalgic melancholy. It's the impossible, insulated wealth of the urban elite, and the unbreakable, defiant spirit of the favela. It is a country that can simultaneously break your heart with its profound injustice and make it soar with its overwhelming beauty. It's a story still being written in real time, a constant, visceral struggle between its infinite potential and its paralyzing problems. To truly visit Brazil is not just to see a new place, but to feel the full, messy, glorious, and painful spectrum of the human condition. It's a journey that embeds itself in your soul and stays with you long after you've left. What part of Brazil's complex story surprised you the most? Is it the economic paradoxes, the community resilience, or the deep cultural roots? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this journey opened your eyes to a new perspective, share this video with a fellow traveler who loves to go deeper than the surface. Subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating and misunderstood places. And if you're curious to uncover another nation's hidden story, check out our video on the surprising complexities of Colombia. Until next time, stay curious.